Hello, good afternoon, and warm welcome to all of you. This is the fifth video of my government scheme series. In the previous video, I have talked about the important scheme related to Ministry of Labor and Employment, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, and Ministry of Human Resource Development. The links for all the video will be provided below, and the PDF related to all the video is available on our Telegram channel with the name Thinking Palette. Now, in this video, I will cover the scheme related to Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, which has been in the news for the last 1 year. But before going into the schemes, if I ask you what is health? Health is basically not about the absence of disease in the body, but it is all about the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well being of an individual. Now, in this part, you can see the concept of One Health is mentioned. This has been in the news for the last 1 month because the human and its health has, or you can say, it is related to the environment and its interaction with animal. Because you all have heard about the rise of zoonotic diseases, and therefore the concept of One Health becomes important not from only prelims point of view but also from the mains point of view. Now, this Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has two important departments, that is Department of Health and Family Welfare, Department of Health and Research. And the important article of the Indian Constitution that have a bearing on the health is Article 21, and then this one is Article 38, 39E, 41, 42, 47, which is mentioned in directive principles of the state policy. You can also say that Article 48A is related to the health because 48A talks about healthy environment, and the environment has an impact on the human health. Now moving to the important scheme. The very first scheme is National Health Mission. Now this National Health Mission, basically previously we have National Rural Health Mission, which was launched in 2005. Now basically with the launch of National Urban Health Mission in 2013, it has become National Health Mission, and therefore we can say that National Health Mission is equal to National Urban Health Mission and National Rural Health Mission. NHM came in 2013 and NRHM was launched in 2005. Now, why it has been launched? It has been launched to achieve the 2% of expenditure on the health we should do with respect to achieving this, that is the component of the National Health Mission will explain that what we are going to achieve. Basically, these components to achieve these components, this 2% of expenditure is required. Now, coming to the component, the very first component is reproductive, maternal, newborn child, and adolescent health. And the second is health system monitoring. Third is infrastructure maintenance, and the fourth is communicable and non-communicable disease control program. Now UPSC may give these options that which of the following are the components of the National Health Mission. These are the four different parts or the components of National Health Mission, and you will have to remember this also because you may get confused that this is all about the mission and this is related somewhat to the national health policy like this, but this is not the case. Understood? So therefore it is very important to remember. Now, the next important scheme is Surakshit Matritva Ashwasan. Basically, this Surakshit Matritva Ashwasan is integrating the different schemes like Janani Sishu Suraksha Karyakram and Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan and this Lakshya, that is Labor Quality Improvement Scheme. Now, these all schemes have a bearing on the pregnant women and the newborn. Basically, this is related to prevention of mortality in the newborn and the pregnant women. Understood? Now, this is all about that the zero cost healthcare. It is being said that the beneficiaries does not need to make any kind of expenditure. Therefore, there you can see that the free healthcare services has been talked about under Surakshit Matritva Ashwasan. Now, what we will give under Surakshit Matritva Ashwasan, we will give first 4 antenatal checkup and then iron folic acid, because we all know that approximately 65% or 60% of the women are anemic in India. And we will also provide tetanus injection and free transport will be provided to the women. Understood? This is very important to remember, that is free transport. And there is an initiative for zero preventable maternal and newborn deaths. Now you can see that all these three important schemes have a bearing, or in order to achieve the zero maternal and newborn death, these schemes have a bearing on that. And this Surakshit Matra Ashwasan is an integration of these three schemes. Now, moving to the next scheme, that is Mission Indradhanush. But before that, you should also know that when we have started our immunization program, we have started our program on immunization in 1978, and that became Universal Immunization Program in 1985. Now, here you can see that we have Mission Indradhanush in 2014, and that Mission Indradhanush became Mission Indradhanush 2.0 or Intensified Mission Indradhanush. Intensified Mission Indradhanush and Mission Indradhanush 2.0 is the same thing. And one thing which you need to remember, that this Mission Indradhanush 2.0 is in its second phase of implementation. Understood? Now, Mission Indradhanush 2.0 will ensure that there should be 90% coverage of full immunization to the children below 2 years of the age and the pregnant women. They must get immunization and 90% coverage must be done. Now, the next important point to remember is that it will be monitored by the Cabinet Secretary. Now, what UPSC can do, that they can make a statement that it will be monitored by Directorate General of the Health Services. It will be monitored by the Health Secretary. There you get confused. This is to remember that it will be monitored by the Cabinet Secretary. Now, what are the different kinds of vaccines we are providing under Mission Indradhanush? We are basically providing all the important vaccines which we are providing under this Universal Immunization and Mission Indradhanush. But we have added next two vaccines for the selected district, that is the vaccine for influenza and Japanese encephalitis. These are the important vaccines, that is tuberculosis, meningitis, measles, hepatitis B, tetanus, whooping cough, poliomyelitis and diphtheria. These are the important vaccines, and in addition to that, influenza and Japanese encephalitis vaccine for selected district. Understood? Now, this is basically related to the vaccination program of the India, and this is Electronic Vaccine Intelligence Network. Now, Electronic Vaccine Intelligence Network, just you can remember that this is nothing but just like the sort of inventory mechanism, because what we are doing here is we are using technology to digitize our vaccine stocks and monitor the temperature of cold chain through a smartphone application. And the next important thing which you need to remember, that it is being implemented with the help of United Nations Development Program. Okay. And the next important thing is that has not been implemented on pan-India level. It has been implemented only in 12 states in India. This can be asked separately in the examination, therefore I have picked this. Now, the next important scheme is Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Now, this important scheme has been launched on 7th of January 2014. For whom it has been launched? It has been launched for the age group of the children in the age group of 10 to 19 years. Now, what will be the impact of this Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram? Basically, this will impact the mental and the emotional well-being. This will impact the reproductive and the sexual health. This will also impact the substance misuse. Basically, you all know that there is a rise in the drug abuse, and therefore in order to check this drug abuse, we have launched Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, and this is one of the component of that. And next is, we will have to improve the nutrition also under Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram, along with healthy lifestyle and violence-free living. These are the basically objective of the Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Then who is implementing it? It has been implemented by MOHFW, that is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, in collaboration with UNFPA. And they have basically developed the National Adolescent Health Strategy. Now, you all know that in order to achieve the objectives, we should strategize that for how we are going to achieve this objective. And these are basically three kinds of intervention through which we are going to achieve this objective. This is weekly iron folic supplements we will provide to them, and the next is menstrual hygiene scheme we will focus upon, and the next is peer educator program. These are basically three important things related to Rashtriya Kishore Swasthya Karyakram. Now, the next scheme is Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram. Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram, here you need to focus upon that it has the target group from 0 to 18 years of the children. Now, I have divided it into 0 to 6 years and 6 to 18 years. Now, this 0 to 6 years and 6 to 18 years will be monitored at different levels, but they will be monitored for the same thing. That is, they will be monitored for any kind of deficiency, any kind of defect at the time of birth, any kind of disease and disability. Basically, these four will be the focus point of both this 0 to 6 years and 6 to 18 years. But what will happen that the children who are in the age group of 0 to 6 year will be monitored at district early intervention center, and the children who are in the age group of 6 to 18 years will be monitored at public health facilities. Understood? Now coming to what will happen at the birth. At the birth, medical officer and ANM, auxiliary midwife nurse, will take care for the defect, deficiency, disease and disability of the newly born child. Now after 48 years to 6 weeks of that child, it will be monitored by the ASA worker. And from 6 weeks to the 6th year, it will be monitored at the Anganwadi. Now this you can relate that this is a kind of public health facilities. And from 6 years to 18 years, they will be monitored at the school level. This is all about the Rashtriya Bal Swasthya Karyakram. Now, moving to the next scheme, that is India Newborn Action Plan. When this India Newborn Action Plan has been launched, it has been launched in 2014. Where it has been launched? It has been launched at 67th World Health Assembly. Now, India Newborn Action Plan have two very important objectives. The very first objective is to achieve single digit neonatal mortality rate by 2030 and single digit stillbirth rate by 2030. Understood? Now the question is, what is neonatal rate and what is a stillbirth rate? Now neonatal rate will be defined as the number of deaths during the first 28 days of the life. Understood? And stillbirth rate is basically defined as a number of deaths between 20 to 28 weeks of the pregnancy. Now, only thing which you need to remember here is the objective of India Newborn Action Plan, and UPSC may ask by framing the different options, that is neonatal rate is defined as like this, the stillbirth rate is defined like this, which of the following statement are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, neither 1 and 2. In this way you can easily tackle this question. Now coming to the next scheme, basically here I have put three different schemes and therefore named as miscellaneous scheme. Now this is Amrit. Basically these are the medical outlets where the drugs for the cancer and the cardiovascular disease will be provided, and this will be provided at 60 to 90% of the discount on the prevailing market rates. Understood? Now the next scheme is Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana. What is this all about? Basically, under Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana, AIMS like institution will be set up, and also there will be an upgradation of government medical college. This is important because I know that most of you are aware with this, that the AIMS like institution will be set up, but here also you need to understand that there will be an upgradation of government medical college. Now the next is integrated disease surveillance program. Now here there are two terms, that is integrated disease surveillance project. Don't get confused, because integrated disease surveillance project was started in 2004 by Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and World Bank. Later on, based on this project, we have launched integrated disease surveillance program during 12th 5-year plan. Understood? Now This is basically a centrally sponsored scheme under National Health Mission. Understood? And it will be implemented in all the state and union territories. Now the question arises, what this integrated disease surveillance program will do. Basically, it was in news 4 days back. Basically, they will collect the data on epidemic prone disease, for example Ebola like disease, SARS and COVID, and that will be collected on the weekly basis. Understood? This is very important now because of the COVID, that integrated disease surveillance project and integrated disease surveillance program. Understood? Now next thing is Ayushman Bharat. Ayushman Bharat has two important components. The very first component is Health and Wellness Center, and the second important component is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. And this sums up into Ayushman Bharat. Now, basically, what are the different benefits under the Ayushman Bharat? How the UPSC may frame the question that they can make an option that it covers pre-hospitalization only, or it covers pre-hospitalization and post-hospitalization cost for the 15 days. Both the statement will be wrong. How? Because it covers pre-hospitalization cost for only 3 days and post-hospitalization cost for 15 days. This is very important to remember. And also, it will cover all the hospitalization expenses with cashless transaction to the beneficiaries. Understood? And it will cover secondary and tertiary healthcare services in public and private hospital. Now look into this and understand that at Health and Wellness Center there is a focus on preventive and promotive healthcare. However, at Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, we are providing secondary and tertiary healthcare services. For example, the services like surgery. This will come under tertiary and secondary education, not under the Health and Wellness Center. Now, basically, we all know that who are the eligible, but very important to remember that who are not eligible under the Ayushman Bharat, because not everyone is eligible under Ayushman Bharat. Basically, those who are earning more than 10,000 per month and working in government run non-agricultural enterprises. Understood? And those who own more than 5 acres of agricultural land and using landline phone or refrigerator, they are not eligible to be the beneficiary under Ayushman Bharat. This is very important. From here, UPSC may frame the option and you may get confused in examination, because you all know that who is eligible in rural area. The eligibility will be decided based on deprivation indicators, and how this deprivation indicators came. Basically, it is based on the idea of ACCC, that is the economic caste census. Understood? Now, urban area. What will happen in the urban area? In urban area, they will be decided on the basis of occupation. That who are the rag pickers, rickshaw pullers, everyone will be the part of the Ayushman Bharat. Understood? This will be done in the social and economic caste census, and this is being done on the basis of occupation. Now, this very important thing which you need to remember, that Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana will also cover COVID-19 treatment and hospitalization. Understood? And COVID-19 patients can avail free treatment at impaneled hospital through the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya scheme. It is not that all the hospitals will provide you the services related to the COVID-19. Understood? This is very important to remember who is eligible and who is not eligible, and what are the benefits of the Ayushman Bharat. Now, the next thing is National Health Policy. You all know that this policy talks about to increase our health expenditure to 2.5% of the GDP. But for example, if I ask you, or UPSC is framing the question that this is for the first time that India comes out with National Health Policy, that will be the wrong statement. This is for the third time that we have the National Health Policy. The very first time in 1983, then in 2002, and now in 2017, we have the National Health Policy. Now, what is the mandate of the National Health Policy? Here I will give you some of the points which you will think that obviously these are unique in the nature. First of all, it will provide assurance-based approach with focus on preventive and promotive healthcare. That's what I was talking about here. That is, look into health and wellness center, preventive and promotive healthcare. Understood? The next thing is that they will focus on micronutrient deficiency, and this is the mandate of national health policy. And the third is Make in India. This is the unique point. Why I am talking about that Make in India is also a mandate of the national health policy, because it is to incentivize local manufacturing to provide customized indigenous products. And the next is application of digital health, that is use of technology in providing health services. This is the mandate of the national health policy. It is very important to remember, because you may get confused in point 3 and point 4. Now, what is the goal of the national health policy? There are numerous goals of the national health policy with respect to ending leprosy, ending TB, ending blindness. Everything is under the goal of the national health policy. But this is very important, that one of the goal of the national health policy is to reduce total fertility rate to 2.1 and reduce under 5 mortality rate to 23 by 2025, and maternal mortality rate from current level to 100 by 2020. And the next goal is reduce infant mortality rate to 28 by 2019 and neonatal mortality rate to 16 and stillbirth rate to single digit by 2025. This was also one of the goal of Indian Newborn Action Plan. Understood? Now moving to the next ministry, that is Ministry of IUse. The very first scheme related to the Ministry of IUse is National IUse Mission. This National IUse Mission is a centrally sponsored scheme and has two important components. The very first is mandatory component and the flexible component. And one thing which you need to remember, that 80% of the fund will be utilized for the mandatory components and 20% of the fund will be utilized for the flexible component. And this, that is IUse service, IUse education, quality control of IUse drug and medicinal plants. This basically comes under the mandatory part of the National IUse Mission. And the components of the flexible part is IUse Wellness Center and telemedicine. This is important to remember, that what are the components or what are the mandatory components of the National IUse Mission. You can escape this also, because if you know this, you can easily strike out in the examination. Now, the next important point with respect to Ministry of IUse is grants in aid will be transferred through treasury route to the state government, which in turn will transfer the fund to a state IUse society. Now, what UPSC may do, that they can give the option that the grants in aid will be transferred directly to the state IUse society. That will be the wrong statement. Understood? Therefore, you need to remember that it will be first transferred to the state government and the state government will transfer it to the state IUse society. Now, moving to the next, and I will say that this is very important. Why I am telling that? Because UPSC has asked the question in the prelims and in the mains also twice on traditional knowledge digital library. Understood? Now, basically, it is a collaborative project of CSIR and Ministry of IUse. Now, what the government will do under the traditional knowledge digital library? Basically, they will protect the Indian traditional knowledge, because we all know that the benefits of haldi, benefits of neem, and also we are very rich in terms of Ayurvedic products in the Himalayan region. Now, basically, what the Western country are doing, that they are using our products and patenting it in their country, and therefore we are the victims of the wrongful patents. And to check this, we have the traditional knowledge digital library. Understood? Now, this is very important, that traditional knowledge digital library will not be available only in Hindi. Basically, it is not available in Hindi. It is available in English, French, German, Spanish and Japanese. Understood? It will contain the entire knowledge into the digitized format in 5 different languages. In examination, what will happen? You may get confused that this is for protecting our knowledge, and therefore it cannot be in the digitized format of the French, German, Spanish, and Japanese. But this is not the case. Understood? And the funds under the scheme will be provided only to CSIR, and no funds will be allocated to any state. Basically, this is the entire prerogative of the CSIR to maintain the traditional knowledge digital library. Understood? All the important things which you should know from the prelims point of view is mentioned here. Then there cannot be any option other than the points mentioned here. Now, this is the last scheme of the Ministry of IUse, that is Swasth Raksha program. It has been launched by IUse Ministry in 2015. And what is the purpose of this program? The purpose of this program is to promote health education in the villages. Now, how the health and the health education will be promoted? It will be promoted by organizing Swasth Rakshan OPD, that will be organized on the weekly basis in the villages, and therefore in this way they will provide or promote health and health education. Now we have basically covered the important scheme related to 2 different ministries here. In the next video, I will pick the important schemes which has been in the news related to Ministry of Women and Child Development. Till then, thank you, stay safe.